I realize there's tremendous force pressing against us to chase, seek, long, desire, want, yearn. From a very young age, this is indoctrinated into us that on a subconscious level, we're not good enough as we are. We need to get better grades. We need to have a better appearance, nicer clothes, a nicer house, a nicer car, a better job, more money, more physically fit. We need to be more popular, have more power. All these things are indoctrinated into us because that's the only way you are able to control people, by telling them they're not enough, giving them a carrot, a golden carrot, and then having them like those rabbits that those greyhound dogs chase, and set that dog and just always, or that rabbit that the dogs chase, and always set it just a little bit out of reach. And so you're constantly chasing. It's like a bullseye when you're playing darts. We've been taught, and we've so are focused on the bullseye that we never even really thought about, well, what's wrong if I hit the area outside of the bullseye? Why can't that be just as good as well? Or is it reality that it's not as good, or is it my thought process and identification with the illusion that it's so much better to hit the bullseye, and how I've been conditioned to believe? So when you want to hit a bullseye, and we're constantly chasing bullseyes in life, you're constantly chasing that little rabbit that runs around the track, you're going to set up suffering. You're going to suffer because the bullseye gets smaller, the rabbit runs faster, our desires, once one desire is accomplished, a new one pops up, like that game in the arcade where those little gopher heads pop up, and you have to pound and hit them with that mallet. And it's this never-ending cycle of void, to have the illusion that a certain desire will fill that void. If I obtain this, or I change this about myself, or I get in this right relationship, or I get the right job, or whatever it is, accomplishing the desire, and then a new one pops up. Well, I'm not so happy as I thought I would be, and now I need to get a better job, make more money, or my relationship's not right. The grass is always greener. And it's this never-ending cycle. And it's just the way we've been conditioned. We have such an oppressive force weighing against us to fight this. And unless you're highly conscious, highly attuned to your own inner being, living in the now, in the present moment, from birth to death, to grave, we spend seeking, longing, lacking, wanting, suffering. And it's just going to be this continuous cycle. How do we break the cycle? Well, one of the things that is a benefit, or as a helper, or as an aid, is suffering and feeling sad, feeling depressed, feeling down. Our first natural inclination is to resist it, fight it. I need to change it. I'm suffering. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good, and I'm going to go do this to change it. I'm going to do that. When we try to fix ourselves, instead of doing self-examination and saying, okay, we look at the symptom. Normally we look at the symptom. What is causing the suffering? Oh, that's causing the suffering, and you point your finger. Instead of saying, it's within, it's my spiritual core, it's my buying into the illusion that anything in the physical external world can make me happy. And so I am going to build, manifest, create contentment within. And most people will never be able to do it. I mean, you'll make slow, steady progress perhaps, but most people lack the courage because everything in society around us is compressing against us, pulling us in the opposite direction of seeking, desiring, when are you going to get married? When are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a promotion? I was watching, what show was I watching? Can't remember the name of it, but one of the really highlights of the show was when one of the characters, the boss, comes to the character and says, it's with David Spade. Someone will probably remember it. But in the boss says, Kevin, I'd like to offer you a promotion. You're going to get a bigger office, more money, more responsibility. And the guy says, no, thank you. What? No, thank you. He says, no, I have enough money. I'm happy how I am with my life as it is. All I really need money for is to buy rice for myself and my owl, to feed my owl and myself, and just rice. So, and they're shocked. Nina, the other character, goes, what are you talking about? That's unconstitutional. That's un-American. You don't want a promotion? You don't want to get ahead? You don't want to advance? And then they get him, they're so determined to get him to take this promotion, they get him hooked on this fancy schmancy rice dish. Like, oh my God, that's so good. And he gets hooked on that, and then he wants a promotion, and then he starts getting sucked in. And that is just all areas of our life, is where there's this constant push that if you're not striving, struggling, achieving, you're lazy. You're not becoming someone. You're not achieving anything. Versus the person who can sit on a park bench, for a couple hours at a time and just be totally at peace and content, or can do volunteer work, or help other people, or read a book, listen to music, take a walk in nature. It's amazing. Once you start feeling whole and complete inside and not trying to extract your happiness externally, it is astounding how little you need to be happy. And in fact, and let's not call it happy, let's just say content. There's just this peace, this stillness, that everything's okay as it is. Everything. There's nothing I need to change, fix, repair, strive, effort. You can just be. And then if out of that state, if something naturally propels you in a certain direction, you follow that inclination. But it's minus all the neurotic suffering and striving that it normally accompanies our goals and actions and desire for success. Another great scene in a movie is American Beauty, where he has the fancy couch, the nice home, but he's unhappily married. His daughter's a mess. He's a mess. And he applies for a job with the least amount of responsibility as possible. I think he's works at a fast food place. And we're so conditioned to seek more responsibility, to seek more possessions, to seek more education, to become smarter, to seek more enlightenment. And we never realize that that's the problem, not the cure. And the very thing we're using to try to fix ourselves is what's creating our internal suffering. I need to live in a different place. I need to change my circle of friends. I need to have a better job. Blah, 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 blah. The list goes on. And the first place to start, if one really wants to change their life, is just go within, man. That's the easiest and most powerful place to start, is you start knowing who you are, and you start becoming at peace with your life as it is, with your relationships as they are, with your job as it is. And it doesn't mean that you sit stagnate and never change, but it means you're living inside out, no longer propelled by all these worldly desires and all our social conditioning, but you can be at peace. If society thinks you're a loser, you can be at peace, hey, that's okay. It's not I don't need validation from external sources, and I can just be. And yes, I'm going to be judged by external standards, but within, everything's okay.